The first sprint race of the 2023 season was held in Baku last week, introducing the revised sprint race format to the sport for the first time. The 100-kilometer-long race was dominated by the Red Bull duo since the beginning, finally handing over the victory to Sergio Perez. Most of the fans were surprised, not with the outcome of the race, but with the double qualifying sessions for the same race weakened. Even though the race was concluded without much controversy, Formula One fans ended the weekend with some big problems in their mind about the new format. So we are going to answer all your problems through this video, discussing A to Z about the new format. Before we proceed, hit the subscribe button and smash the bell icon for more exciting updates. The sprint race format was introduced to the sport in 2021 with the aim of expelling the boring nature of the first 2 days of the race weekend, which comprises of 3 uncompetitive practice sessions. However, there was a dived opinion about the new format since the beginning, and that's why FIA is still running it as a test format only in selected Grand Prix weekends. The number of points awarded to the sprint race standings is also very small, limiting the impact of the sprint race format to the championship. The main problem that we saw in the last 2 years associated with the sprint race format was the selection of grid positions for the main race based on the results of the sprint race. However, this issue has been addressed very well with the introduction of the new format, going into 2 separate qualifying sessions for the sprint race and the main race. There was no bigger change was done to the race, as it was 100-kilometer long as usual, without any mandatory pit stops, and it ran for over 17 laps, consuming around 30 minutes in Baku. As last year, 8 points are awarded to the race winner, and the top 8 finishes get points in a descending over. These points were added to the respective championship points of drivers and teams. However, there was no impact of the outcome of the sprint race to the main race that is held on Sunday evening. Last year, sprint race weekend started with a qualifying session on Friday morning, and it was followed by the only qualifying session of the weekend. This session decided the grid position for the sprint in Saturday evening. However, prior to it, another practice session was held on Saturday morning, allowing teams to fine-tune their cars for the back-to-back races on Saturday and Sunday. However, the teams were not interested about the practice session on Saturday morning. After the sprint race, teams directly went for the main race in next day, and the grid positions were decided based on the outcome of the race day. This was the most controversial point of the format over the last 2 seasons. As a solution to this issue, a new qualifying session was introduced to the sprint format by the name Sprint Shootout, replacing the second qualifying on Saturday morning. Only a little change was done to the structure of the Friday, holding the practice session in the morning and qualifying in the evening. But a little bit of change was done to the ordinary practice, as each and every team was allowed separate 60-minute time slots to fine-tune their cars for the next 2 days, as the second practice session was replaced with the new Sprint Shootout. The main qualifying session was held to decide the track positions for the main race on Sunday, cutting off the impact of the outcome of the sprint race to the grid position of the main race. There was a little bit of difference between the 2 qualifying sessions as the time was reduced in each qualifying round of the shootout. In the regular qualifying, 18, 15, and 12 minutes are allocated for Q1, Q2, and Q3, respectively. But in the shootout, the same qualifying rounds are composed only of 12, 10, and 8 minutes, respectively. But these shorter time intervals create a little bit of jeopardy, as the drivers who attempt to set the lap time in the latter part of each round always face a risk of losing their lap time with the red flag for exceeding the allocated time slot. There are limitations to the choices of the tire compounds used for the shootout, as it is mandated to use medium rubber for Q1 and Q2 of the shootout and soft for the Q3. Then the sprint race is held in the evening, dedicating the whole Saturday to the sprint format. So anything that has happened on Saturday has no impact on what happens in Friday and Sunday. Then, on Sunday evening, main race is held as usual depending on the outcome of the main qualifying on Friday. The usual point-scoring system is used for the main race, allowing the chance to collect a maximum of 33 points for the winner of both races. This solution is good, as any team which yields a bad result at the sprint get a second chance to score some good points at the main race to recover the impact from sprint. In 2021, we can remember what happened to Gasly at Imola. He qualified as 6th in the sprint and crashed to the barriers in the midway of the race, destroying his whole weekend. So, depending on the results of the sprint race, he held the last position of the starting grid of the main race. But this thing will not happen again, as the driver who qualified as 6th in the main qualifying will start the main race as 6th, despite what happened to him on Saturday. In overall, there are some positive points of the new sprint format, as more excitement and energy have added to the race weekend instead of boring practice sessions. After running the format as several test rounds in this season, it can be made as a regular fixture of each race weekend in the near future. What do you think about the new sprint race format? Should we continue with it or not? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel to get more exciting Formula One news. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.